How to do, y'all? Tables here. Wanted to do a video, some last tips and updates for the SRS build before league launch on Friday. Nothing too crazy, just a few kind of loose ends to tie up and make sure you guys are aware of any, some of the changes that have gone on and things of that nature. So I'm not going to keep you much beyond this. Let's go ahead and get into it. I also want to make you guys aware, please, 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 I cannot stress this enough. Before you start your league, before the servers go live, like an hour or two, 3-4 hours before, check the POBs, make sure to copy and paste it into your POB, get the latest and the greatest. I'm going to tell you right now, unless an emergency happens, come Friday at noon Central Standard Time, I will not update the POBs any further. It would have to be like a gross emergency, right? So mark that time. Anytime before that, there could possibly be a POB update. After that point, you are safe to grab the POB and be assured that it is the latest and greatest POB for the league launch. I just want to make you guys aware of that. I want to make this the first tip so you guys don't miss it. This is very important. I do not want anyone to be left behind in any changes. So please make a point to get the latest update for the POB before you start your character. Another topic I want to touch before league launch is the stone golem of safeguarding. Right now, this has been buffed, I believe, to 15%, if I'm not mistaken, from the patch notes. I'm not sure why it's not updated here. So if the new necromance 1% leech is as good as I think it's going to be, then we are no longer going to have to rely on the life regen from our summoned stone golem, because we're getting getting mega bolstered from the 1% leech. We can then run stone golem of safeguarding, which makes any kind of melee damage a lot less kind of daunting for us. But this melee damage taken from your stone golems like before you is really, really, really nice. And even at 15%, you buff it by 20% by giving it the quality, and you can go even higher if you wanted to invest any more buff effect. This is going to afford us a much easier time whenever we end up taking some melee hits, melee specifically, right? So I would assume that means any damage if it's melee, fire, cold, lightning, even chaos. If it is melee, it is reduced, right? And so this is most likely an option that we're going to be taking in the end game, but I do need to see how the 1% leech feels. And if it feels good, then I think we're going to take this instead of the traditional base stone golem. Another thing that I've been kind of hearing about is, because we're leeching, do we take the node that makes 10% of leech instant? And I'm not sure if 4 points is worth this mastery, but it's certainly something to think about. And it might be something, well, it's probably something I'm going to be testing. But you have to see, like, this mastery is primarily on the right side of the tree. And we are pathed right next to a leech mastery, but we're not really going to get any benefit from any of the 3 nodes leading up to the mastery. Every point that we allocate has a purpose, every single point. And so I'm hard pressed to spend 3 points for nothing to get one that's, arguably pretty good. So that's something that I'm going to have to determine in the end game when I do my testing. But it's something to keep in mind, and it's something to keep on the back burner of your guys' mind while you're going through this build cycle. And I'll be sure to keep you guys updated. So somebody had asked me, since I'm doing Rog as my currency making strat for this league, Rog in June, they asked me for a guide. Well, I mean, Rog can be very nuanced and can be complicated, and there are legitimate strategies within the Rog mechanic that can really boost your profit. While I didn't necessarily go through this guide, I kind of just learned on my own. I did find this guide and I did go through it, and it is it's extremely intensive. There is a lot. I mean, it's 60 some odd pages of raw content. What to do, examples, how to roll, what module. I mean, this is truly the most expansive raw guide I think I've ever seen. And so when I say that I can't just pop a video out in a couple days, I can't. There's just simply too much to the ROG mechanic. But rest assured, this guide will set you apart from anyone else that's doing ROG that is not following and doesn't know what to do or is still somewhat new. It's almost impossible to not make money on ROG if you're following this guide. So take use of this tool and apply it when you're using ROG. Educate yourself. Take a little bit of time. You don't have to go through this whole thing. It's all broken down into sections. And take an hour out of your day to kind of educate yourself, and you will be a step above for your league start, and it'll put yourself in the best possible position to succeed. So I'm going to leave that link down in the description below. And yeah, good luck to those doing ROG. And every single league, I'm telling you, every single league, I make a goal. Last league, my goal was to make the absolute best possible amulet that I could make. And I made one that sold for like 15 div. And this was an incredible neck piece. And this league, I really, really, really I won't stop ROG until I make a top tier ROG bow or a top tier ROG Imperial Claw. It's got to be one of those two. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on this league. I have to, I all these times doing ROG, I still haven't made either one of those that have come out just to perfection. So that's my goal this league. You guys can make your own goal, but I've given you the tool. Make the best of it. So the first thing I want to talk about is replacing our Carnage Chieftain. Now, the cast time versus our SRS being up, it's not really a reliable buff to our SRS because we cycle them out just constantly. Essentially, the damage numbers that we get in POB are just, they're just not even close to what we're actually getting out of the Carnage Chieftain. And this is something, honestly, I never really thought about, but was pointed out to me this league by some people in the comments, and thank goodness they did, because it really makes sense whenever you think about it. And this gives us an opportunity to try out a different Specter. We're still going to be rolling with the Pale Seraphim. That is huge for single target. It's definitely something that we want to run with. But for our second Specter, we've come to about two options that I'm personally going to be kind of rolling with. And we have the Tukohama's Vanguard, right? And that is the guy in Act 6 on the coast, or excuse me, in the mud flats in Act 6. And those are the guys that like put down the totem and do the Scorching Ray off of it. And what that does is at max stages, it gives us 25% exposure to fire. We don't get this much off of exposure from our elemental army. And we're still going to keep that in the links for our zombies, because it is still nice for mapping and to just get some initial exposure on any kind of rare that we come across. But if we end up coming across something very tanky, then our Tukohama's Vanguard is going to be able to get it to negative 25, which is going to greatly benefit us. To my knowledge, that new fire exposure would supersede the LE army. And I think it's worth having this in the build. Now, a second option would be the Ash Prophet. And you'll find these in the Crematorium in Act 3. And these will cast I think it's comparable to a level 24 Flammability Curse. Now, I would still keep a Flammability Curse socketed as a backup, because these guys are very slow, and we dropped convocation for our guard skill, and that is probably the main reason I'm not going to run this one, is because we are already running like a level 2021 flammability. So we're gaining not quite as much off of this one as we are for that we get for the Tukohama Vanguard. But this is certainly one that I will pick up early while I'm leveling, and then I will swap to the Tukohama's Vanguard when we reach X6. Be sure as soon as you get your Spectre gem, throw it in a blue socket, get that thing started, start getting that thing leveled up, because Specters are super, super fragile early in their levels. And yeah, this is the decision moving forward for Specters. Any other suggestions y'all might have, throw them in the comments, and we can maybe figure something out before league launch. But we're getting ever so close. I think this is the way that I want to push the build. I personally will be going for Tukohama's Vanguard, and I'll be getting Ash at the very beginning, and then we'll be swapping to the Vanguard come Act 6. I just want to thank you guys for watching. I thought I recorded an outro, but I'm doing it while I'm editing this this video. If you guys have any questions before league launch, or if you have thoughts or suggestions about Specters and whatnot, please don't hesitate. Sound off. I'll make sure all the POBs are right and tight come noon Central Standard Time on Friday. And yeah, I'm getting close. I'm excited. I'll see you all in the next one. Be good. Take care of yourselves.